It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast, the podcast made by film fans for film fans. It is an American holiday today. It is February 8th, 2026, also known as Super Bowl Sunday. We get to watch Corey's favorite team, the New England Patriots, lose to the Seattle Seahawks.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm just saying that to give him grief. I actually really don't care how it turns out. I just want a good game. We can see Bad Bunny at the halftime show. Will he be wearing sunglasses when he comes out?
Have to see Bad Bunny.
I don't mind Bad Bunny.
You were saying you wanted a white instead.
No, that's not. I did not. He's in Bullet Train, isn't he? And he's like actually pretty good in that. I think he's a funny dude. He had a Hot Ones interview. This is a weird way to start this episode. He was in a Hot Ones interview where they like offered him ice cream, and his reaction to getting ice cream while his mouth is just ablaze is really funny to me, and I like Bad Bunny. I know none of his fucking music, but whatever, it'll be fun. We're going to talk about movies eventually, both new releases, what we saw this past week, movie news, what we bought, kind of the typical shtick from us. But first, Corey, how have you been? It's Super Bowl Sunday. How intense is this day for you as having, for what, the 8th time in your life, your favorite football team in the fucking big game? Oh, wow.
Yeah, not to be like, I'm stressed my team is in the Super Bowl, but also I'm stressed my team is in the Super Bowl.
It immediately puts a target on your back.
Yeah, and the whole day is just like, I can't really like focus leading up to it. And I just can't really enjoy the game because I'm just fucking stressed the whole time. Can't really enjoy all the movie trailers that are coming out. I don't really give a shit about Bad Bunny, so like whatever. I'm glad Kendrick's not this year. I'm glad he was last year, so I could fully enjoy that, kind of.
That's true, I guess. That makes sense.
But, fucking Pats, baby. Drake May, Mike Vrabel, the boys.
Woo! I remember, I forget what Super Bowl it was, but it was when the Flash trailer was supposedly going to drop during Super Bowl, and I've never felt more like a villain in my life, because, I take Super Bowl, movie trailers really seriously. Super Bowl just cuts to commercial, everyone's getting food, talking, and people that I don't even really know, friend adjacent to us, just are here because they have a friend in common. And I'm like, everyone shut the fuck up! The Flash trailer! And I was like, oh my god, I am an asshole.
I think that was the first Eagles-Chiefs one.
Oh, no, yeah, it was.
I think, yeah, I remember that. There was some big
Was that also the Rihanna halftime?
That was a Rihanna halftime.
We got a couple of good quotes from a buddy. Mike, we'll name drop if he's listening. You know what you said.
Yeah. But, man, Super Bowl Sunday, great fucking time. We got the Olympics on in the background. It's a lot of fun stuff. J. Cole album just dropped on Friday. It was fucking sweet.
Did my taxes this week.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It's a big week.
Big heavy week. We're ringing the morning in with a little PBR, but not just any PBR. This is a Attack Peter Godzilla PBR. For those of you listening, there's a big picture of Godzilla on here. I guess it's for the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. They did a collab with PBR, so cool. I don't know. So I almost got some Sam Adams Boston Lager. I didn't.
I think that's maybe a missed opportunity.
I had it in the store and I was like, "Fuck, do I do it?" But I went with these because I like the Godzilla shit on there. So I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna be stressed the rest of the day, but it'll be fun. Have a good time.
We have a couple of rants for you to get out of the way.
We do, yes. I get to funnel my energy first of all into the big new release of the week. The Strangers Chapter 3 came out. And this is the conclusion to the epic trilogy that everybody has just been clamoring over.
Coming from acclaimed director Renny Harlin.
Yeah, everybody's favorite. And just as a bit of background, hopefully this is the last time I ever have to talk about the Strangers franchise. But the original Strangers movie, I think it was 2008 that it came out, somewhere in there. I remember as a kid, my brothers and mom and me watched that movie when we lived in a really kind of creepy house out in the middle of nowhere. And that's one of, my mom always talks about that movie of being this movie is terrifying. And it, I just, that memory of, these people out in the woods, or just, at this abandoned home, whatever, always sticks with me. And we've talked about it a lot, just the simplicity of, you guys were home. That's why we're killing you.
That's why we're doing this.
You were here.
That's terrifying.
That's just, you don't need an explanation for that. Just the unknown of just, these people are just fucked up because they can.
Yeah.
That's a great premise. It's a really good, just thriller, horror movie. Liv Tyler's great in the movie, so really love that original one.
It's one of the horror movies that I can't watch with my wife because it's just people deciding to do bad things for no reason, and that shit gets to her the hardest, which it's a very, relatable fear of, oh, this, could actually happen. And it's way more like frightening and intense, and also just the reasoning of like, why not? It's like, oh God!
Fuck, like, it's not a demon, it's not a ghost, anything like that.
We don't need to explain their backstory. Michael Myers was actually a really weird kid. He had a bad upbringing. No, just leave it alone.
Yeah, so it's a great movie. It had a sequel, The Strangers Prey at Night, which not very good. There's a couple okay scenes. One at a pool that's kind of fine, but pretty forgettable. Then Renny Harlin started this new Strangers trilogy, and
he's like, I got an idea.
He's like, what if we, instead of understanding the concept of The Strangers, the title, The Strangers, he decides to dive into who the strangers are and make them not strangers anymore.
The Familiars.
And, and he's like, what if we did a whole trilogy about this? And the first movie, which came out like a couple years ago, was essentially just a retread of the first one, where it's just a home invasion type movie. It's not good, but it's just like, whatever, like it's fine. And then it said chapter 1 at the end of the movie. I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. There's going to be more of these things.
Was it not marketed as Strangers Chapter 1?
I don't remember.
I guess I don't remember either. I didn't give a shit about it coming out.
It may have been, and I just didn't hear about it or know about it. But yeah, I saw chapter 1. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. There's going to be another one. And then it's like, oh, there's going to be 2 more. The second movie, which came out just in October of last year, I think.
I'll look it up. It was just last
pretty
year.
recently. So I think it was like around Halloween time. Essentially just a chase movie the whole time. There's no plot to... September, okay.
Less than 4 months ago. 5 months ago.
So that's fucking wild. They really fast-tracked this third part.
People need this.
Second movie is... All the movies are dog shit. This third one picks up where the second left off, which I said is just a chase movie, didn't have any plot to it. Truly a middle chapter of just bullshit.
Yeah.
The Strangers Chapter 3 opens up with a flashback to two of the strangers when they were like teenagers. They kill somebody, and then we go to a... before the title comes on, I believe, it has a definition for the phrase serial killer, and gives the dictionary definition of what serial killer is, in case you didn't know.
Inventive.
And it includes the word strangers in there, just to, fucking plug the movie. Which I don't know if it actually does in the dictionary. It probably doesn't, but whatever. And then we get into the movie, and it follows Madeline Petch, who has been the main protagonist throughout all three of these things. And she plays the character of Maya, and she is, she's in this weird fucking town in, like, the Pacific Northwest, getting chased by these fucking strangers, and in this, spoiler alert for this movie, because I want to fucking dive into it if you really care about The Strangers Chapter 3 and you want to see it. But she kind of, this movie takes a little bit of a turn into the main guy, Scarecrow, I think is the guy with the mask, or whatever, the main mask guy. He kind of wants to, like, indoctrinate her into the group and puts the mask on her. And for the trailer for this movie, I was like, there's something interesting, maybe, of, like, the Stockholm Syndrome type thing where, like, taking a victim and then bringing them into the group and making them a stranger. I'm like, okay, there's, like, something, I guess, there that's interesting. It's bullshit in this movie. It fucking sucks. There's nothing good about this movie. It is ass. Some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard. The performances are just shit. The direction is awful. There's no thrilling sequences. There's no good kills. All the kills just feel like we're just kind of doing this, like, gory, like, just murder porn, whatever, just for, like, okay, we can do it. We can just stab a knife into someone. It's like, there's no purpose behind anything. There's a subplot of Maya's sister and her husband and some security guy they have with them that come to this town to try and find her. They get killed within like 10 minutes, so they don't really fucking matter. The decisions every character makes are shit, and everything that they do with trying to, like, make the main character one of the strangers, she's just, like, sitting there not saying anything the whole movie, and then she ends up just killing the main guy at the end after kind of, like, flirting with him or whatever, trying to be like, oh, maybe I will, but then she just stabs him. And then she just walks out of the little bunker with, like, the Scarecrow mask thing, and then the movie ends. And it's just pointless. It is just, this movie and this whole trilogy is just a fundamental misunderstanding of what The Strangers is.
Yeah, what made that first one good.
Yeah, and we don't need to dive into the backstory. There's also a ton of flashbacks in this movie to Just the police in the town. Richard Brake is the main sheriff, and his son is the main kid, or is the main stranger guy.
Is this like the same town where that first movie takes place, or is it just where the chapter 1 takes place?
I think just chapter 1. I don't think it's like trying to be related at all.
Okay.
Like maybe it is, but I don't know. But there's just so many like this whole trilogy was built on let's dissect the strangers and see their backstory and how they met as kids and they're teenagers and why they are the way that they are. And like that's just a misunderstanding of what this is. And also, if you're gonna do that, like it's a different take for this. Do it well, or like actually give something to it. It's just the most base level bullshit that you could do in a movie, and it's not. There's no good character work in any of these movies. There's no good sequences here. It's just a misstep at every point in the road of these movies. I don't understand how this trilogy was made, or why Lionsgate is like, let's give Rennie Harlin however much money to make this. Nobody wanted this. They haven't been well received, any of them. And like nobody was like, maybe Strangers could be an interesting reboot. There's some horror things where it's like they could do a reimagining of that in a cool new modern way. This is not one of them. Don't go see these movies. They're fucking shit. They're awful. It's just I hate that I committed to these and and I was like, I gotta finish it out just to fucking do it. I don't like these movies. They're bad. I don't like Return to Silent Hill. I talked about that. I think I like this even less. And they're both really bad. But stay away from these movies. Just watch the original Strangers. It should have stopped after that one. That's a good movie. The rest of them are just shit.
That, and I feel like only by having these later films, which I haven't seen anything post that original, it kind of sullies the kind of almost cult classic status of that original film from the early 2000s. Where I'm like, that movie was so instrumental into my love of horror movies as a kid, because I saw it probably way too young on like the FX channel, and I was like, oh my god! And then now it's just kind of been done to death a little bit. I think I already know your answer to this just based on how you feel about the first movie in this other trilogy, but like the 2018 Halloween in that trilogy with Halloween, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. I'm guessing you like that trilogy as a whole maybe a little bit more than Strangers Chapter 1 through 3.
Solely based on Halloween 2018?
Yeah.
I like that movie.
But Chapter 3, from the sounds of it, of Strangers, has kind of like the Stockholm Syndrome. It has this Madeline Petch kind of becoming one of the Strangers. Would you prefer to rewatch Strangers Chapter 3, or would you prefer to watch Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends?
I mean, simply for the laugh factor of Halloween Ends.
Fuck off.
The thing about like Halloween Kills and Ends is that those are bad movies, but I can watch them and be like, these are sort of fun in a weird bad way. The Strangers movies are so boring. Like, this third movie should be this final chapter where it's, like, building up to this and, like, maybe she'll join the Strangers and become one of them and, like, maybe kill a member of her family or something interesting. It's so boring. Like, it's an hour and a half, this last movie. It felt like 2.5 hours. I just couldn't fucking keep my eyes open for this movie, barely. And yeah, not good. One of the worst trilogies of all time, hands down. Like, it's I don't know what else would really be in there, but
Toxic Avenger.
Well,
there's more than just the 3.
Yeah, of
normal movies.
Normal 3. Yeah, these are bad. These are really bad, and I don't understand how this was made.
Yeah, I can't say you're like really selling these movies to me, which I wasn't anticipating. I knew you would hate this. I knew this rant, this kind of conversation was going to go this way. There's no way that there's an uptick randomly in this third movie with the same creative team throughout, but happy that you're done with it.
Yeah.
You can fucking shrug it off. We have Super Bowl Sunday, but similar to you, I went and saw a horror movie this week. I didn't see Strangers Chapter 3 because I haven't seen any of the other ones, and I've been told relentlessly by Corey that I don't need to see them, so I've kind of avoided this kind of reintroduction into this franchise. But I went and saw Whistle because it had a convenient showtime. Premise looked pretty decent, has a decent cast. Does have the director of The Nun, so I'm like, oh, right.
The poster for this movie is crazy.
Poster is great. Yeah, the tagline you're talking about?
The tagline, yeah.
Tagline is horrible. But Daphne Keane is in this. Sophie Nielsen. Percy Hines White, who I actually really like in, was it My Old Ass? Loved him in that movie. And Nick Frost. So, and I've heard decent enough things, so I was kind of looking forward to this. The synopsis is just, it's kind of prototypical horror schlock of just this misfit group of high school students. They stumble upon this cursed object. they accidentally use this cursed object and begin summoning their own deaths. It's kind of Final Destination-y, it's kind of Flatliners at times. It's a very derivative movie, or it boils down to be a very derivative horror film. But at the start, at the precipice of this movie, there's some really good kind of mythology that they somewhat develop, but then don't really do much with. I was looking forward to this movie. I was the only one in the theater. So I typically say don't, like, when you're in a movie, turn your phone off, don't talk. I was the only one in this movie theater. I was talking at the movie the entire time. I had my phone out checking how much time was left. This movie is 1 hour and 40. It felt like 2:20. It is so slowly paced, but not only that, it's so derivative and unoriginal and repetitive of other shit that I have seen that it just made this movie feel like nails on a chalkboard. It was just so long, dauntless, and just bland. But I made notes, and the first note is one of the loudest, shrillest, and most obnoxious horror movies I've seen in a long time. And that's mostly in reference to the score of this movie. This movie is meant to just upset you, not in a way of like, oh, this gets me into like the feel of this movie. It was more of like, holy fuck, I need earmuffs in this theater. This is so bad. And I don't blame the theater, I blame the movie for that. With this Aztec whistle that they find, you blow into it, it whistles. And for all those near you, if you hear the whistle, you have basically had your own death summoned. So your death is going to come find you. If you die when you're 40 of lung cancer, a 40-year-old decrepit man with lung cancer kills you. But it's you.
So if you're like in a crowd of people and you blow the whistle, like
everyone will fuck. So yeah. So like this group finds it. Well, Nick Frost blows the whistle first, but he's alone in his classroom. They don't do anything with Nick Frost. He's horribly wasted in this. I love him. But he blows the whistle, and you find out that he had like lung issues, and then he dies of lung cancer later in life. But since he blows the whistle, his death moves forward, and he dies of lung cancer now. And the cool thing that I can actually like throw towards this movie of like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, is that in the kind of autopsy and the reports of the body, they show records of what he would have been when he died, when he was supposed to die, if he had not blown this whistle. Like, they show he had lung cancer, he had stage 4 lung cancer, his bones and his teeth records show that he was roughly a man of like 50 years of age, as opposed to like 40 where he is now. So it kind of like lumps kind of where they would have been if had not they blown this whistle. So this stupid group of friends that has just a bunch of obnoxious character actors. Daphne Keane has one of the most flat, uninteresting performances I've ever seen from a lead actress in a horror film, which sucks to say because I really like Daphne Keane as Laura in Wolverine, or in Logan and in Deadpool and Wolverine. There's some stupid things done with Percy Hines White in this. Nick Frost and Percy Hines White deserve better horror material because they're just like kind of thrown in and they are given nothing great to do with. But Daphne Keane, she's moving to a new school. She has kind of a tragic backstory that is really emo and like, oh, my dad died because I OD'd and he was taking me to the hospital and then we got hit by a drunk driver and he died and oh God, I'm so sad all the time. I have his records that I listen to that make me feel like I'm closer to him, but I'm to blame, so I'm so bad. I don't want to use again because it hurts the people near me. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is so melodramatic. But all that aside, she has a cousin that is one of the most annoying performances I've ever seen in my life. Sky Yang, sorry to throw hate at you, but you play Reb, who is like, Daphne Keene's character moves in with her cousin, lives with him. And I feel like this movie was desperately trying to edit around this man's performance. There's very rare where we get just like a shot of this man and seeing his face when he acts. There's a lot of like shots of him in motion, and then you can hear ADR dialogue where I'm like, they don't like this man's performance. But he is so spastic and just, he reminded me of one of my college roommates, and I was just like, that's also kind of weird. And he was so moody but spastic and just obnoxious and into like, I don't know. He had this confidence of, like, these characters are all supposed to be, like, seniors in high school about to graduate. He felt like a freshman in high school where he was just, like, trying to be a pick-me boy. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this feels misunderstood. This whole movie kind of just simmers into classic jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. And you follow that same rhythm and pattern to where nothing is scary. They had some decent mythology set up that I'm like, that could be kind of cool. Like, it opens with this basketball player burning to death in a shower. And they're like, how did he burn to death? The autopsy says there's a gas leak. And by his bone and his dental records, they're saying that he was 40 years old when he died, but this guy was 17 and he just won like the basketball championship for his high school. So like, how does that make sense? And I'm like, there's some cool things there. I will say the only thing that is worth seeing about this movie is there's probably like 2 to 3 death scenes in this movie. Like I said, it kind of gets Final Destination-y at times, but one of the characters that, I'm going to spoil something for you, he dies later, and he has this established habit of drunk driving. So Corey's like, there's a point in the movie where he gets home and he's drunk and he's just like coming down from it, but then his death is after him, and he dies of drunk driving and the injuries of drunk driving, but in his bedroom, as his parents are trying to get into his room. And you see like his body get mangled by a car that's not there. So he's contorting, blood spraying. It's crazy. And I'm like, this is almost cool. I'm like, this is almost redeeming parts of this movie for me. And then there's another death scene with a person that falls into like a metal, like not a wood chipper, but like it just breaks up material. And he basically gets like wood chippered in front of someone. And it's just kind of out of nowhere. It's like, holy fuck. Like, this movie sometimes has violence that I'm like, wow, this actually like serves a purpose. And if you had a better creative team, better performances, better writing, because all the writing is very rote, melodramatic, prototypical, formulaic bullshit that you get with like high schoolers, like, you're special to me. Like, just stupid shit like that where I'm like, oh my god. Like, just eye-rolling the entire time and me laughing like at the movie, not with it. So, I would not recommend seeing this. I've seen 5 horror movies in 2026, and that's all. And this is easily far and away the worst. I went into it kind of hoping that it would have, like... I didn't have a lot of expectations for the movie Lights Out when it came out in, like, 2016. And then I went in, watched it, and loved it.
It was great.
That movie's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of always looking for more of, like, those little less talked about, smaller horror films that come out that are a little bit more mainstream. That surprised me. Whistle was not that. It's very formulaic, very boring, overstays its welcome, and there's a lot of... It fails to live up to the mythology it establishes, but also it doesn't... It just makes convenient, stupid decisions that only lets this movie keep going. Like, there are so many ways where this movie ends, and could end faster, but they find ways to really, like, do shit to prolong the runtime of this movie, and they... like, Percy Hines White towards the latter half becomes a villainous character, and there is a decision because they explain something about blood in this movie. I'm not going to get into it because it's just too stupid to explain, but they somehow find a way to make it so Percy Hines White basically saves the main 2 girls in this movie, and it doesn't make sense. I'm like, okay, why the fuck would he do that? Why would this go down like this? It only goes down like this because it's a movie and we want these 2 characters to live. So... it was frustrating to watch. I was hopeful for it. It really let me down. I wouldn't recommend seeing it. If I were you, I would maybe start looking at YouTube in like 3 weeks to try and see those death scenes that I talked about to see if those ever come out, because those are kind of cool, but that is the only positive I can throw this way. Definitely skip it. Corin Hardy, you got The Nun and you got Whistle. Do better. Also, that poster, I would maybe frame that in a dorm room because it's a crazy poster. Yeah. Mostly the tagline.
Not a strong way for horror movies.
No.
Maybe Luc Besson's Dracula is good. Maybe we should have seen that. I don't know.
I heard that it's fine, but I've heard it's more of like a romantic turn on it, which I'm like, well, that's what we got with Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, is more of a romantic turn on Dracula. So I'm
probably
like,
better than the shit we saw this week.
I'm sure it is. I'm hopeful that it is.
But let me tell you what, if I had this whistle today, I would be putting in earplugs and going in the Seahawks locker room and just blowing that thing.
I would... That's a horrible thing to say. But for the sake of comedy, I would put earplugs in Sam Darnold's ears, and then
we can say
I love Darnold.
We could leave him. One person on the 53-man roster can survive.
That would look so suspicious. You're the only one that lived. It's like in Weapons where they're like, you're the only kid that isn't just like missing. It's like, well, maybe look in that kid's basement.
Yeah. Also pause on what I said. Fuck. Holy shit. Anyways. For other stuff that I watched this week, I caught up on a few things from last year that you had talked about and really liked both of these movies. The first one was Twinless, which is from director James Sweeney, and it stars Dylan O'Brien and James Sweeney. And it's about Dylan O'Brien, who lost his twin brother and joins a support group for twinless twins. And he meets James Sweeney's character, who says that he lost his twin, and they kind of form this bond over that, and then a relationship kind of forms between Dylan O'Brien and Aisling Franciosi. I don't know if I said that right, but She's a co-worker of James Sweeney, and kind of their little trio that they have of relationships there. And I like this movie. I think it's pretty good. I think I watched this movie mainly because after Send Help, I'm like, I want some more Dylan O'Brien just in some more recent roles.
Yeah.
And I remember you talking about this movie, saying it was good, and just other people really hyping it up. And Dylan O'Brien's great. He plays 2 roles in the movie. We talked about the dual roles from 2025 that a lot of movies have.
Thing, yeah.
But he was great in both roles. Really kind of much like kind of Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, where it's very distinct between the 2 roles. I think this one also with Dylan O'Brien, he does that really well. And it was a very interesting movie of just like the thing that worked best for me was Dylan O'Brien dealing with the loss of his twin, and they didn't have like the best relationship in the past few years. They'd kind of drifted away a little bit, but after he dies, he just has this like, fuck, like I miss just playing video games with him and talking with him or doing whatever, and that was really like impactful, and that that works. And people that knew his twin but didn't know him and are coming up to him and being like, so like you look so much like him, and like we hung out with him before and did all this stuff, and he's just like,
okay, cool,
yeah, like he's like, I guess my twin like had a lot of friends and did all this, but it's like I was never part of that life really. So that was the most interesting part for me. I really liked Aisling Franciosi too. I thought she was great in this movie. She had a very small but impactful role in Game of Thrones. She plays Lyanna Stark, and I won't spoil the show if you haven't seen it, but she's a very important person in that show. And I thought she was really nice. She was just like, her performance in this movie as like just she's like a receptionist, I think, at the place where James Sweeney works at. Mm-hmm. She was just so sweet and just so like genuine, like somebody that I'm like, I would want to date you. Like you're just a nice person that's like smart but also stands up for yourself. Mm-hmm. She was a great character.
She has no ulterior motives except for helping others the entire time, and I'm like, God, it's easy to root for you, and I'm like, you're kind of in a rough situation right now.
Yeah, so she was just really sweet. Just a really good character. I think my biggest flaws with the movie is I didn't really love the character of Dennis, played by James Sweeney. I thought that, to get into spoilers a little bit, because I feel like that's kind of crucial for this movie.
That and it's been out for...
If
you haven't seen it now, you'll discover it later.
It's on Hulu.
Forget we even talked about it, but definitely go see it if you haven't. It is a good movie, but yeah, there are some spoilers with Dennis especially.
Yeah, it's on Hulu right now, so go check it out. But it's revealed, like... Again, this is another kind of issue I have. It's revealed pretty early on that Dennis actually doesn't have a twin. Yeah. And he used to, or he had like a one-night stand with Dylan O'Brien's twin. And then after, like, he kind of caused the death of him in a way. Yeah. He was in the area. And then he sees Dylan O'Brien, the other twin, and follows him to the support group and lies about having a twin and wants to kind of see if he can rekindle it with this twin and see what's there and kind of do that. Like I said, I think it's revealed a bit too early in the movie. I think it would have been a lot more interesting to hold off on that a little bit and get more of it. And I think there's like a moment in this movie where it would have worked well to do the flashback scene where we see him with the other twin. And it's like after a scene in a hotel. I think it would have worked well to like kind of move that scene
where he like punches.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I agree.
I think that would have been a lot more impactful because up until that point you'd be like, oh, what the fuck is this? What the hell is this? So I think it was revealed a bit too early, and I also just didn't love his character. And I get that you're like maybe not supposed to, but he was just to me a very like selfish character that was like, I just want to kind of use this and use you for my own personal gain. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of the movie, they have like a little scene in a diner and like they kind of reconcile, maybe, I guess. But there was nothing to him that I was like, oh, wow, I'm rooting for you. Like I was rooting for Dylan O'Brien in this movie. I'm like, I want you to like come out on the other side and like get through this. James Sweeney's character, I'm like, I don't like you. I don't like what you're doing. Like, and then when Dylan O'Brien and the girls start dating in this movie, he just gets jealous and he's like, well, I want to spend time with you. I'm like, okay, well, now you're just being a jealous friend. Like, I don't really like anything that your character's doing. I get that that's pretty, like, intentional in the movie, but just for me, it didn't really work in that sense. But overall, like, still a good movie. You mentioned the the split screen, the party scene, which
or a Halloween party.
Yeah, which like I think James Sweeney as a director, like there's a lot of really impressive things that he does, and I'd be curious to see him in the future and see what he does because I think that he has good work behind the camera. It's a good movie. It's enjoyable. Just didn't entirely work for me in some of the Dennis character things, but still pretty solid movie though.
Yeah, he is a little bit unlikable, and he is kind of the lead of this movie. Like, it is kind of a co-led movie between him and Dylan O'Brien, but we see more of his perspective of things throughout this movie. And I feel like you get kind of tipped off to his selfishness a little bit early. Which, not that it forgives his selfish acts, they both kind of are using each other, but you can see James Sweeney or Dennis's character, why he's using. Like, Dylan O'Brien's just like, I need someone to connect with to get over and help me grieve my brother's loss. Like, yes, I'm kind of using you, but it's also like, I need to unpack this, and I need to figure this out. Whereas Dennis is more of like, I need friends, you're my only connection, I feel guilty, so I need to redeem that because I had a hand kind of in your brother's loss. And I just, like, you can kind of feel his selfish nature a little bit too much. I overall enjoyed him as a protagonist, but, like, he's not the most likable, and I agree with you that he is pretty, like, upright selfish, whereas Dylan O'Brien is just more like, he's like, I'm trying to figure this shit out. Yeah. So I'm happy you watched it though. I do think it's a really well directed movie, and I think kind of similar to what you just said, I think James Sweeney has a lot of promise as a director and as an actor, but like the character of Dennis didn't always work throughout the entirety of the movie. I recommend going to see it, even with that small spoiler of kind of what's going on with the story of it. I still think it's worth a watch. And I overall still really do love that connection between Dylan O'Brien and James Sweeney. Like, the scenes where it's going right, it does kind of follow that formulaic, like, rom-com formula of, like, oh, they're going to have a falling out. Oh, they're going to spend time apart. Oh, they'll kind of rekindle things. Like, they just do it with Dylan O'Brien and James Sweeney. But aside from that, I'm like, this is a really, like, kind of refreshing, at times, very sweet movie, too. And I haven't watched all of Gilmore Girls, but Lauren Graham in this is also really great. Yeah. She has a small role, but she's really great.
Yeah, definitely glad I checked it out again. Just the Dylan O'Brien after Send Help. I'm like, I want to see more of your stuff. The other movie that I watched was Splitsville. Also came out last year.
Love this movie.
Got a good cast here with Dakota Johnson and Adria Arjona being the big ones. And then Kyle Marvin is the main character. And then Michael Angelo Covino. He also directed and wrote the movie along with Kyle Marvin. They did a previous movie called The Climb, which I think is just like two buddies on a bike trip or something. Yep. I haven't seen it, but
I'm kind of interested in watching
it. I'd be curious. So they definitely have a history of working together. And this movie is about Kyle Marvin's character of Carrie, and him and his wife, played by Adria Arjona, are getting a divorce, or she asked for a divorce. And then their married friends, played by Dakota Johnson and Michael Angelo Covino, they have an open marriage. And Kyle Marvin kind of, it's an intertwining thing between these four people of how their relationships kind of go together. And this is a really kind of a fun rom-com that doesn't feel like a conventional rom-com, really. Yeah. It doesn't have like it doesn't have the typical beats that you would expect in a rom-com necessarily. What it does have is chapters in the movie. Which we have talked about, another trend from 2025 that Mason especially fucking
needs
hates.
To fucking die.
This movie didn't really need to be there. Like,
it just feels unnecessary.
It's like, it does it like it's sort of like documents almost, the way that it does its chapters, where it's like, I don't remember how they titled it, but it was like number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever. Don't need it. We can leave that in the past. But I did enjoy this movie, though. I thought it was like it had a really nice flow to it, where, again, it doesn't follow the traditional, the beats of a rom-com, and it kind of just is along with these characters that are sort of, at least Kyle Marvin is just there, and he's kind of like, whatever.
He's kind of bumbling.
He's just kind of bumbling through the movie. His wife's like, I want a divorce, and then she's like, all right, well, and he brings up the open marriage thing. He's like, well, what if we did this? And she's like, all right, well, I'm going to sleep with a lot of people in our apartment. And he's like, cool, I'll just hang out with the other ones that you slept with while you're still sleeping with somebody else.
That immediate, like, juxtaposition of her just getting boned, but then him making friends with all of them, and they're, like, getting, like, good, like, relationships and connections. And he's like, oh, you want to come over? Yeah, well, no, we can have, like, food together. Like, yeah, whatever. I thought Kyle Marvin in this movie is one of the most likable performances. He reminds me of, was it Tom Kenny? Tim Kenny? Tim Kelly? Why can't I think of his name? Ballad of Wallace Island.
Oh yeah.
I can't. Tim Key.
Tim Key. Yes.
It reminds me of that type of performance in Battle of Wallace Islands, where it's just like such a likable, like optimistic, happy, trying to figure things out type of person. I loved him in this movie.
It was fun. It's just like all the other guys that have slept with Adria Arjona. They're just like watching Lorenzo's Oil together. They're just like sitting around doing shit, and he's like helping one of them with their resume and like all this shit. It was really funny. And then Dakota Johnson and her husband are kind of, with their open marriage, are going through some shit. There's an incredible fight scene in a house where shit is just getting wrecked. It's just the two main guys, and they're going through, just tables are broken, fish tanks are fucking broken, and they're like, fuck, we gotta save the fish. Gotta get them into the fucking bathtub right now. It's just like and like a lot of it looks like it was pretty practical. Like both of them in camera, like doing these stunts and everything, falling down the stairs and all types of good stuff.
It looked like two friends making a movie, fucking shit up, and they're like, all right, we're just gonna do this, and we're just not gonna worry about liability things or insurance reasons.
It's gonna look messy, the fights, and it's just like kind of like two guys like, fuck, and it doesn't really look great, but it's really funny. So yeah, this movie really worked for me. I thought again that this was a well-directed movie. There's one scene in particular, kind of with Kyle Marvin in the apartment with a lot of his other wife's lovers, where it's like a one take, and I was kind of reading up on that, where people would like go out of camera, change their costume design real quick to make it look like different days, and the lighting would change. So it's just really impressive stuff. It looked really good, and it just kind of, it ends on a note where I'm just like, yeah, this is just a nice movie. Like, it's really sweet. Not all of the humor worked for me in the movie. Like, some people going into this were like, this is the funniest movie of 2025. I don't agree with that. I think that most of it was nice, and even if it didn't fully make me laugh, I was like, that's a nice moment, though.
Okay. For me, this is my favorite comedy of 2025, but I would throw Naked Gun up there. Because, like, Naked Gun probably consistently made me laugh harder, but this one had more, like, relatable laughs. Not all the jokes landing, I get that, but this, like, from what I remember, this movie, like, really surprised me. But, yeah, it's funny. It is, like, kind of a surprisingly poignant movie, too, and I just like the duo of Kyle Marvin and Michael Angelo Covino. I'm excited to see what they do kind of moving forward.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm happy you watched this. To me, this is like the Crazy Stupid Love of 2025. Does that comparison kind of make sense to you a little bit?
I can see that. Okay. Yeah.
It's mostly like the scene in Crazy Stupid Love where you find out who Emma Stone is to everybody and shit hits the fan. That's kind of how this entire movie felt to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the performances. I'm happy you saw it. What would you say is your favorite comedy of 2025? Would you say like Naked Gun?
Naked Gun made me laugh the most. That just hit on every cylinder. That's my type of humor.
Shouldn't have too. I'm so surprised that movie worked so well. But I'm happy you watched. You had a pretty decent, aside from obviously Stranger Things Chapter 3, you had a pretty decent week. It looks like. Getting into kind of the slower season, I've decided to start jumping back and watching like old Oscar-winning movies. I watched Tar a while ago to kind of rehabilitate my view of that movie because I actually now really like that movie where I used to fucking hate that. I'm watching a lot of like Oscar winners or Oscar nominees from past years where either I didn't give them enough credit or I maybe just haven't seen them before. Nomadland is one of those movies where I feel like I saw it and I didn't appreciate it. It also ended up winning Best Picture at the 2021 Oscars. Aside from that, it also won Best Performance by a Leading Actress for Frances McDormand and Best Director for Chloe Zhao. This is, like, Chloe Zhao is still pretty heavy in the directorial conversation with Hamnet and stuff like that, so I thought that this would be a good time to go back and watch Nomadland as someone who is like, really, that's what's winning Best Picture? Like I said, stars Frances McDormand, David Strathairn is also in this film. It's just about a woman in her 60s after losing everything through the Great Recession and also losing her husband. She embarks on this journey through the American West of basically being a nomad living out of her van. And I don't know, watching this movie, I got a lot of what I got, I think, the first time. But I think after time having passed and being able to rewatch this movie through a new lens of like, this is a Best Picture winner. Why is this a Best Picture winner? And I tried to be a little bit more optimistic and a little bit more positive while watching it. I took a little bit of notes, but it just was mostly like, this movie is so beautifully shot. It reminds me in like kind of the more naturalistic way it depicts America and scenery and landscapes. It reminds me of like Train Dreams from this year. It's a very stunning movie to watch, Nomadland. And it like kind of feels, the story feels like something that Wim Wenders would make, or Jim Jarmusch. It's very slow moving, it's emotional, and it's just a movie that doesn't tell you a lot of the time how a character's feeling, but you can see it on Frances McDormand's face. And that makes sense as to why she won the Best Lead Actress that year. She was phenomenal in this movie, and I don't want to position anything saying anything about her not deserving that award. She deserved that award, and it makes sense. I still kind of have, as now rewatching this, I do think I appreciate this movie more so than when I originally saw it. I just kind of still am like, Best Picture, really, it feels still to me like a little bit of a weaker Best Picture winner. I'm happy with it getting a nomination. I like the kind of exploration of the nomadic lifestyle in America and kind of how that differs from kind of the standard approach to how a person lives in the United States. And you get a house and that's successful and you have a family, and that's not how these people live. These people they travel and they find community in that, and they see the world a little bit more. Frances McDormand, she's exceptional. She deserves that Oscar win. Her Oscars acceptance speech was a bit crazy. I remember watching that, and I was just like, "Oh, we're really going for it right now." Yeah, the howl was kind of. I was like, "Oh shit, she's kind of freaky." I remember her winning, and her speech for 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri was phenomenal. And then for Nomadland, I was like, "Whoa, rein it in."
Yeah.
But I think that this movie is really unrelenting and compassionate in how it examines what it means to be a nomad, and how someone feels like a nomad, how they feel like they have to move and nonstop be moving throughout their entire life. So I really appreciated that. It's a really, like I said, slow moving, patient, reflective type of movie. And I remember this movie being longer the first time I saw it. I thought this movie's 2 hours and 20, and then I rented it on Amazon Prime and I was like, oh, it's only an hour and 45 minutes. I was like, oh, shit. And then watching it, I was like, is this movie going to feel long? It doesn't. I was really surprised by the pacing of it. It works more for me than I remember it working for me in the past. Again, I typically am I don't see why it should have won Best Picture. It had a pretty heavy group that it was associated with for those Best Picture noms. It had The Father from that year. It had Judas the Black Messiah, Minari, Mank, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7, which I think just about all of those movies, aside from maybe Promising Young Woman, I would say I would have given the award to over Nomadland. But rewatching this movie, I do like it a lot more. I appreciate it a little bit more. The performances are still great. The characters are great. It's a very interesting look at an American life, and I appreciate the cinematography and the performances. So it is a well-made movie. It's very good. It being a Best Picture, Best Picture winners, I feel like they subject themselves to a lot of critique. Either you agree with them and you're like, yeah, that was one of the best made things of that year, or you're like, really? Which is kind of how I am with Nomadland. I really like this movie, but I'm like, is this the Best Picture of the year? Truly? Minari came out, Judas and the Black Messiah. For me, The Father or Sound of Metal were a lot more poignant than Nomadland and had a lot more emotional kind of gut punches. But overall, I do appreciate this movie, and I'm happy I rewatched it kind of in preparation for this year's Oscars.
It's a fine Best Picture winner. Nobody talks about it anymore.
No,
this is one that gets forgotten.
It's similar to Coda, which I actually love this fucking movie.
Yeah.
I bought this on Blu-ray. This is a great movie. It's very touching, but it feels kind of unspecial. It feels like it's not it doesn't have that big emotional scene. It doesn't have the big punches. It's not what you would typically look to be the Best Picture of a year, which not to say that that's how it should go. It's just they're a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reserved, a little bit more behind the scenes, which I like both Coda. I like Coda more than Nomadland, but I like both of these movies. And they're both kind of a little bit more of oh, that's what won Best Picture that year. That's kind of interesting. That's crazy. They're a little bit more forgotten, but they are still great movies nonetheless. And I would recommend watching Nomadland if you haven't seen it. It is going to be kind of an interesting take on things that you might not be exposed to. So for that, it's kind of a good watch, but also it's just a very well documented, well photographed, well acted movie, and it's worth your time.
Yeah, I mean, Chloe Zhao is great with filming both kind of nature and outdoors in her movies really well.
Just she's great at filling a frame. It's crazy.
Yeah, with Hamnet and this movie obviously, and then The Rider, one of her earlier movies, is kind of just a horse riding thing, but just on the kind of in the Midwest, I think that movie is.
Yeah.
So it's just she does a great job of that.
I still need to watch that.
Also, she included in this movie Wall Drug in South Dakota, which if you've never been to Wall Drug, what a fantastic place to stop on a road trip while you're going out west. Incredible place.
It is kind of crazy seeing it's not product placement, but just the representation of different companies throughout this movie. Because you see banners for Progressive, you see banners for Amazon, you see
Amazon,
Wall Drug,
yeah.
you see a bunch of stuff where it's not showing it in a Michael Bay movie and there's a Bud Light on screen. It's more of just in the United States, this is how it is. You would see it in Amazon, or you'd see these signs and Wall Drug and stuff like that, which I was kind of cool.
See the dinosaur outside of Wall
Yeah,
Drug.
you see the dinosaur? I'm
hell
all
yeah,
right,
dude.
that's sick. Which, being from the Midwest, it's all right, that's kind of cool. A little nostalgic there. But I really like Nomadland. I appreciate it more. Best Picture? I don't know, but still happy
Sound
to...
of Metal should have got it that year.
It's that or The Father. For me, going into that award show, I was it has to be between those two, and I was still surprised when Nomadland won. But this rewatch has kind of proven to me it is a good enough movie. It deserves to be in that conversation at least. So check it out if you haven't. I also went back and watched. I love 28 Years Bone Temple. We talked that 28 Years Later Bone Temple. We talked about that earlier this year. I am going through this little kind of period where I review my top 100 movies of all time. I made that list probably back in 2018 or 2019, and I kind of slowly make some revisions to it, but I've decided I'm going to take a good chunk of the year to really unpack some of my favorite movies that are maybe on the cusp of that top 100 and fully review my top 100 films of all time. It's not important to anyone except for me and maybe Corey at times, but I want to review some of the movies that mean the most to me, and 28 Days Later, when I first made my top 100, was on that list. It's kind of petered off a little bit. I don't watch it as frequently as I probably should, and by rewatching it this past week, this film directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland, similar to the more recent 28 Years Later renditions, this film is phenomenal. And it still stands the test of time. It is so interesting in how it develops the zombie genre, while also the way this film is filmed and photographed. I don't know the exact type of camera they use, but it's basically recorded through a camcorder. You can get the highest def version of this film possible. Parts of it are still going to look like shit, and that's just based on the quality of the film camera, the technique, and how they filmed it. That's just it makes it feel more lived in and more real, and it makes the scares more at the front doorstep. They're here and present. This is a real footage. This is characters existing throughout this really horrible time. Zombies, the infected, the rage virus, whatever you want to say, they're terrifying in this. They sprint at you. My favorite zombie film of all time is Night of the Living Dead, the original George A. Romero movie. I love that movie. But the zombies, they're just kind of, they're coming to you eventually. And they're going to get, when they get you, they'll kill you. But it's going to take a while for them to get to you. This movie, they are going to get you. And if you're in their sights, you need to move. Because they will pin you down. This is the first movie that ever made zombies really scary to me. Rewatching this movie too, the performances are great. I forget how great Brendan Gleeson is in this movie. I never forget how great Brendan Gleeson is, but it's more that I forget he's really in this movie a whole lot. His character and his character's demise is very unsettling and upsetting, but it serves a great purpose for Cillian Murphy and Naomi Harris's character, kind of like as they kind of unpack what is hope in this world where this virus, these infected exist. Christopher Eccleston is also a great kind of secondary villain to the rage virus. He is terrifying in this movie. The way that the film's shot, the way it's directed, the performances, the tension that it builds. Also, rewatching this movie, it has one of my favorite film scores of all time. And then we get kind of callbacks to it in 28 Years Later, Bone Temple in the final moments. That track, I don't know the exact name. I used it in a student film I had to make in college. It's one of my favorite tracks ever to be in a movie. It is so good and just, it's so simple, but it just so perfectly handles and develops what the tone of this movie is. So I love 28 Days Later. It's one of my favorite films from Danny Boyle, which Danny Boyle is one of my favorite directors. So check this movie out. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to have a lot of questions whether you're really a true horror fan if you haven't seen 28 Days Later. Also, or a zombie fan. This is one of the best horror films to me ever. And it has a strong case to be in my top 100. There's a lot of other movies I need to kind of watch through and resort out and revise my list, but 28 Days Later will likely be in my top 100 come the end of 2026 after I review everything.
Yeah, this is my favorite zombie movie. I just think that the vibe of it, the grungy, dirty, filmed disgustingly.
It's also just such a perfect setup. This guy wakes up in a coma. And the world has gone to shit, and he has to figure it out. Like, him walking through the empty streets, I was like, how the atmosphere they develop in this movie is so great. I'm like, how the fuck did they get permits to film this? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's great. And I think you kind of mentioned Christopher Eccleston's character of being maybe the zombies aren't the real villains. Yeah. And I think that's why part of the reason Bone Temple didn't work for me as well is because we saw this in 2002. Like, we've had this before.
And I've thought about that post our Bone Temple conversation of like the Spike not having much of a arc, which I don't think he has much of an arc, and it's kind of similar to the arc in the first movie. But the first movie we learned that the rage virus for this kid isn't great. That's a threat. That's horrible, and he grows up through the rage virus and how that affects him. And in the second one, we get that, but it's not the rage virus that he's learning about. It's how horrible human beings can be. So I'm like, I agree with you to where I'm like, it doesn't feel like much because it's also similar to what we got in 28 Years Later and also similar to what we get in 28 Days Later. What they did both of those, humans and zombies, in one movie. They're both not great. Humanity's kind of fucked. And then 28 Years Later, both of these movies we've gotten one side and the other side, and I'm just like, okay, like, I guess that's enough. Yeah. It works more for me, and I get why it doesn't work for you, but I'm just like, 28 Days Later is unmatched in how it handles that stuff.
Also, the almost like simplicity of how Brendan Gleeson dies, or like begins the process of dying, is so frustrating because you're just like, fuck! Like, initially it's not like getting eaten by a zombie or like getting shot by somebody else. It's just like, fuck! Damn it!
Like, and that's what makes the way people get infected in this world of zombies way more scary. It's so easy. Like, you come in contact with them, their blood gets into you. You, like, any sort of kind of swapping of DNA, anything, you're going to get infected. Brendan Gleeson's looking up at a corpse, and blood drips down into his face. And he immediately is like, oh, fuck. And he's like, he can feel like, okay, I'm probably on my last, like, given time. Like, these are my last couple of seconds. And he sees his daughter, and he's like, I love you very much. And she's like, it's kind of a weird thing for you to say right now. Like, I love you too. And he's just like, nope, get the fuck away from me. This is going to get really bad. And he doesn't, that whole, the handling of that, it's devastating. It's done so efficiently. And then you get the introduction through that of Christopher Eccleston. So it's just like, oh my god, like, this movie moves so well. It's such a great horror film. It's so thrilling still to this day, and I've seen it probably 5 times already. So.
I also love in these movies, or in like any zombie movie for that matter, when somebody gets infected but they're trying to hide it from other people, and they're like, you got a bite there. They're like, nope, no, I don't. I'm fine. No, it's just I caught myself in an unrelated thing that wasn't related to zombies. They're like, we need to kill you. Like, no. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. I'm fine.
It's kind of like in horror or in movies when they're like, we need to show someone sick. We'll have them cough and there'll be blood. It's like, okay, like, I know how you're gonna do this. Right. Like, I know how this plays out. Like, you're gonna die. But yeah, 28 Days Later, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's worth your time. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Whether it makes my top 100 or not will remain to be seen, but it probably will. I love this movie, and I can't wait for if we get a third 28 Years Later film, because I think regardless of the entirety of what we've gotten in these sequels to the movies, they've all, at least I think, consistently been good, which you can't say that about a lot of franchises, especially horror franchises. So I'm excited. Another franchise that I've been running through and watching kind of out of a weird order is the Star Trek films, both the original run with like Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, as well as the Next Generation films. I've seen all the Kelvin timeline films from J.J. Abrams with 09 and Into Darkness and Beyond, and I like most of those movies. I decided, you know what, Star Trek Nemesis, it has my boy Tom Hardy in it. I wasn't planning on watching this movie because it's kind of looked at as being one of the weaker films in the franchise. It's often labeled as one of the weakest entries. This, Insurrection. Some people really hate Into Darkness. But I was like, you know what? I want to see Tom Hardy at least. Like, maybe there's some redeeming qualities to this movie. I fucking really like this movie. I think that this movie is horribly underrated and misunderstood. And I will die on that hill. even compared to other lesser Star Trek films, this one stands out as a really engaging, fun. There's a lot of action, which like Star Trek isn't at this time period in like the early 2000s, coming off of all the films that we've already gotten. It's not like an action movie franchise. It's sci-fi, and then there's usually some space battle or some small action beats. This movie has a little bit more action than I would anticipate. Some of it to its detriment. there's negatives that I have with this movie, clearly. But I think that the performance of Tom Hardy as Shinzon, who is a clone of Jean-Luc Picard, I think that he has a really good performance, and they do a lot of really interesting stuff with that dynamic between Shinzon and Picard that really delves into just, hey, we're the same person, but how are we different? And why is it that way? You came up this way, I came up this way. I just like that conflict between those two characters a lot. I think it makes Shinzon an immediately more endearing villain, and he does kind of boil down to a little bit mustache twirly, like, I had a bad upbringing, so therefore everyone has to pay. I'm going to blow up the world, basically. And it's just like, okay, like, you're kind of losing some of your nuance, which, again, there's negatives that be had with this movie. The the first main action beat, which is a dune buggy scene on this desert, like, moon planet, didn't really work for me. It felt kind of out of place. It feels like it would have happened in like the Kelvin timeline films and like beyond, and it would have worked there. But in this type of film, at the time period it came out, it didn't really feel like it fit this cast, this crew, this tone. So it kind of felt schlocky. And a lot of Star Trek action is, we'll ask every question, we'll have every conversation. Violence is the last outcome. This action sequence is a dune buggy chase where Worf, one of the members of the crew, is just blasting a turret at unsuspecting aliens. Like, nope,
nice,
doesn't matter. And I'm just like, that's not like the most Star Trek, but like whatever. It's an action beat. The biggest misstep with this movie is the handling of Deanna Troi and her violation in this movie, or rape in this movie. It's kind of established somewhat early on that Shinzon and his right-hand man, this viceroy that he has with him, they have some telepathic abilities. And Deanna Troi, the kind of counselor of the ship, she's half human, half Betazoid. She has these telepathic communication capabilities. And while Deanna Troi is having sex with her husband, the villains of the film infect her mind and basically violate and rape her. And at the time it happens in the movie, I was like, are we seeing rape in Star Trek? This just feels nuts. Like, this is so weird. It's pretty dark, and it's upsetting. And I was like, you know what? How they handle this, how they kind of react to this, could maybe make this worth being in this film. But then one of the next scenes after that is Deanna Troi kind of divulging what happened to her, to the crew of the USS Enterprise. And she's like, I was violated. They infected my mind. I was raped, basically, and because of this, one, I think I have proven that I'm a liability. They can infiltrate us. They can become one of our crew. They can learn about us. I'm a weakness for this crew. Two, I'm not emotionally ready or, like, mentally there enough to be here for this. I was violated. I can't be here anymore. I would like to leave my post for the time being and take some time away. And Jean-Luc Picard, who, played by Patrick Stewart, is usually known as being, like, a very upright, logical leader. Sometimes emotion plays into it, but he's a very good leader. He says, no. You've been violated once, which means they can violate you again, which means we have another another opportunity to learn from these violations and get the upper hand on them. So maybe, since it can happen to you again, we'll keep you on the team. And I just thought, what the fuck are we saying right now? Because this woman was raped and can possibly get raped again by the same person, we're just going to let her be here? I was like, how the fuck do you fumble that so badly? I was so blown away by how horrible the implications of that kind of reap throughout the rest of this movie.
Because of the implication.
Because of the implication. Thank you, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Dennis. This is the worst part of this movie. It is kind of a big gripe to have. Everything else around this movie, that action scene, some of the more methodical plotting of just Shinzon being like, I'm going to blow up the world because I'm pissed and people did me wrong. It's like, okay, well, whatever. I think that this film, outside of those issues, has a lot of great things going for it. I really enjoyed the action. It is like, especially in the latter half, where it is more of that Star Trek action of like, they have a cloaking mechanism on their ship. How do we locate them? And there's some good like kind of sci-fying themselves around kind of issues that they run into. I will say the clone dynamic is a little clunky at times. With Shinzon, it works because it's talking about things about identity, fate. Shinzon's like, I'm half human, even though I'm a full clone of Picard. I feel like I'm half human and half alien. I was basically raised by Remans and Romulans, and I've been raised to hate. And now, because of that, I don't feel like I belong to humans or Remans or Romulans. Like, I am something completely by itself. So I think that the way it talks about fate and how you diverge from one another, even if you're genetically the same, is very interesting. But while they have that clone, they also have a clone of Data, the main like ship computer assistant on board, where there's a clone of Data that is called B4. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, we're doing 2 clone scenarios here. There's a lot of stuff. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's a movie from 2002. It's a sci-fi film. Nemesis overall works for me. There are big gripes to be had, and I understand why some people don't like this movie. I think, interestingly enough, this film was directed by Stuart Baird, and he has more of a prolific career as an editor. He edited the film Skyfall, and this film, Nemesis, was also written by John Logan, who then went on to write Skyfall. So I'm like, interesting how this team, on a franchise that was kind of dwindling at that point in time, before the Kelvin timeline kind of revived it, how this team moved over, almost a lateral move to James Bond and made Skyfall, which is looked at as being like a classic within that genre and that franchise. I like Skyfall. I also like Nemesis. Not that they're one and the same or really close enough in quality. I just think Star Trek Nemesis gets a bad rap. There are things to hate on that you should hate on. Like Deanna Troy's handling in this movie is crazy. Data makes a sacrifice, and then 15 minutes later, it's annulled, and he's fine. I'm like, can we just stop killing characters just to bring them right back? It feels cheap and lazy. But I do think overall Nemesis does get a bad rap. I think it is an enjoyable Star Trek film, and it's one of my, like, it's in like that middle echelon of films as I've kind of watched through. I did do a small ranking, and I want to run this by Corey a little bit. So I haven't seen Final Frontier, and I haven't seen Section 31. I think by being a friend of Corey, I need to complete this franchise at some point. I'm losing steam a little bit, so I might take a little bit of a hiatus because I know that those 2 films, Final Frontier and Section 31, are 2 of the weaker films. But I will check them out. So my Star Trek ranked of what I've seen: Wrath of Khan, number 1, Undiscovered Country, number 2, Star Trek 09, the first Star Trek film I've ever seen, number 3, First Contact, number 4. I got number 5, The Voyage Home, which is the more jokey one with the whales everyone loves, and it's very quotable. It's great. Number 6, I have Star Trek Beyond. I love that movie. It's so much fun. Star Trek 7, or number 7, Nemesis. A movie that's usually like in that 11 or 12 spot, like towards the bottom of people's list. I think you should rewatch it. I think that there's a lot of good in this movie. Number 8, I have The Search for Spock. Boring at times, illogical at times, but very well handled, very well directed, and has a great cast. 9, I have Generations. 10, the motion picture, just because it's a very interesting movie and it's kind of boring, but a lot of nostalgia with it. I remember watching that movie in my basement of my childhood home. Number 11, I have Insurrection, a movie I still really like, but it plays out like a long episode, and it just kind of, it doesn't have like that conflict, that like really interesting conflict or specialness to it to maybe warrant it being a major motion picture. But 1 through 11 are all movies I really like. My number 12, my least favorite Star Trek movie, which I did not know going into this watch through that I would begin to not like this movie, is Into Darkness. I hate this movie now.
Whoa, what the fuck?
I think visually it looks great. I think the action in it typically is good. It's a Star Trek movie that predominantly takes place on Earth, which isn't bad. Voyage Home takes place on Earth, but that's mostly in like the 80s in San Francisco, and they do like some fun things with time travel and whatever. The one thing that Insurrection also has a little bit of, but I think is fundamental to Star Trek, is that Starfleet is good, and they want to promote peace, understanding, and support throughout the galaxy, and communication. In Into Darkness, and a little bit in Insurrection, you see a little bit of like there's a little bit of corruption. Like, oh, maybe some captains, some generals aren't the most like upright moral people, like Picard or Shatner's Kirk. Some people are conflicted. You get a little bit of that. In Into Darkness, it's all corrupted. Peter Weller? Who I love. Love RoboCop. Love his voice work as Batman in the Dark Knight Returns animated movie. I hate him in Into Darkness. And he speaks to everything in this movie subverts Starfleet in a way that feels offensive to me as someone who now likes a lot of older Star Trek. It's we're just here, we're a business, we're doing our own thing, we're doing what supports us, we're gonna do shady shit and act like it don't stink. I'm like, that's like Starfleet is like the thing in this movie, like in this franchise that has been consistent. Like, can we live up to that standard at least? Which I'm all for sci-fi movies kind of subverting standards. The Last Jedi is one of my favorite Star Wars films ever, and that subverts a lot of standards within that franchise. But in Into Darkness, the Khan thing is dumb as fuck. Benedict Cumberbatch's performance is hammy as shit. I think that the reveal, while they're like, oh, he's not Khan. Clearly he's fucking Khan. He's just not, like, he just looks like a white dude with dark hair. Like, that's it. That's the only thing he did different. We're going to subvert and change Spock's sacrifice and make it Kirk, but then we're going to annul that because of fancy, smart blood. I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking thing a sci-fi franchise could create, aside from somehow Palpatine has returned. And I'm like, what is that? So, I might have to rewatch Into Darkness, but as this ranking goes, it is by far and away my least favorite Star Trek film I've ever seen. I think it just does so much wrong about the franchise, and I think it only makes sense that after this one, like, 09, I really love. I think J.J. Abrams is good at setting up stories, but he so clearly cannot end a story well that we have to have someone else, Justin Lin, come in with Beyond and make us something optimistic, still a little action-heavy, but something that's like an uptick in terms of Star Trek and Starfleet. Hell yeah, let's go, let's explore, let's understand, let's communicate, let's bring peace. Into Darkness, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Also, read up on like the weird 9/11 allegory that Robert Orsi had a hard-on for while writing this movie. Very interesting. Bit out there. Check that out if you're not like interested enough into that. Into Darkness is, I think, one of the biggest failures of this franchise. As someone who likes Nemesis, so like I have a hot take on Nemesis. I might have a hot take on Into Darkness, but it's just that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Whoa, I didn't expect that this morning. Holy fuck!
Yeah, I know you like that movie. That's why I wanted.
Yeah. Well, I know like a lot of people that love Star Trek don't like Into Darkness, so I don't even know if it's like a hot take really. Yeah. Most people don't like that movie. I've seen, some of the original movies and some episodes of the show and stuff, so I'm not like that steeped into Star Trek, so like the Kelvin timeline for me was a nice little bridge where I'm like, okay, this is like, I don't love always the contemplative, like thought-provoking sci-fi for an entire movie, so like I thought the Kelvin timeline was nice. Also, like, Wrath of Khan ends with Spock dying, and then a movie later they're like, what if we brought him back?
See, and
it's like, okay.
It is a fault within the franchise that runs, like, consistently. Same with, like, what I said about Data and Nemesis. He dies in, like, 15 minutes, and they're like, but B4 is around, and we could just program him to have the memories of Data because he's a computer. And it's like, well, then why kill him? Why do it? And, like, I like it in Wrath of Khan that he dies, and then, like, Search for Spock, I'm like, you guys are going to spend a whole movie just to bring this character back, which, like, at times is endearing, but also it's like, what are we doing right now? Yeah. I think they're dead, but not really. We can bring them back. I'm like, stop fucking any movie that does that. MCU, Star Trek, Star Wars, just let a character die and be done.
Right. And I think like to the Starfleet thing quickly, like, they're like you mentioned the kind of good in the universe or whatever. Like we had like 10 or 11 movies of that, and I'm like, I'm cool with doing something different. Like I'm fine with that. I like Into Darkness, and I know like. I feel like with both Star Trek and the sequel Star Wars trilogy, I like both trilogies a lot more than most people do. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm excited to someday watch through all of the Next Generation stuff and kind of give my thoughts on it as well.
I will say the Into Darkness marketing material, like the posters, the trailers, top tier, top level marketing material. Yeah. The posters of the USS Enterprise falling out of air. So good.
All of them. I think it's great.
I like it is my least favorite. I do think it is due now for a rewatch just because of me seeing all these other ones. I know I love Beyond. I know I love Star Trek 09, which is also kind of a hot take within like the Star Trek realm. But those are the movies that got me into Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And now I've gone back and watched a lot of old Star Trek, and I'm starting to get more of a feel of like what makes sense to me and what matters to me within these films. And Into Darkness from memory doesn't satisfy that, so I'm probably going to rewatch that. Final Frontier I'll need to see for the first time. Section 31 I'll probably get drunk and watch because I've heard it's not worth it. So, but don't, just because a movie's labeled bad, don't discount it. Maybe you'll end up loving it. I did that with Nemesis. Corey is saying I need to do it again with Final Frontier before we start recording. And I
haven't seen it, but you've gone this far. Fucking do
I
it.
Might as well. So
if you don't watch Section 31, I don't give a fuck. But at least the original ones, fucking watch through them. But so this week I dove into some TV stuff. Fallout Season 2 finally wrapped up. I think I talked about the initial episode or two when it came out, but this is a great show. I mean, this is such a interesting world of Fallout. I think I've mentioned it before, but I remember watching my brother play Fallout on his Xbox, like Fallout 3 in New Vegas back in the day, and I was like, damn, this world is really cool. The vaults, the Pip-Boy little bracelet things that they have. Like, this is all so sweet. This second season continues everything that's good about the first season. I like the first season a little bit more than the second, and I think the main reason is that there are a couple storylines in Season 2 that I wasn't as interested in. I think they're still, good character work and good stories, but the people that are back in the vault still, in Vault 33, they're, just kind of, I don't know, it wasn't the most engaging stuff. They're having, these little parties down there. They're trying to preserve water. I didn't care as much about that because there's just so many more interesting things happening outside of the vault at this point, where, Ella Purnell's character is trying to find her dad, played by Kyle MacLachlan, and who I know you love from Twin Peaks, and I love too.
Dale Cooper.
Yeah, and so I love watching him and their kind of relationship as she's trying to figure out why he's doing what he's doing. Walton Goggins continues to be fucking awesome as the ghoul in this show. And the best part of this season is the flashbacks to Walton Goggins in, the late 50s, early 60s, I think it is, where it was kind of that, I don't know, the nuclear war era where everyone's trying to prepare for that. And just the flashbacks of everybody trying to battle for power. Justin Theroux comes in a role here where he's kind of this big player in Vegas where people are trying to find him, and there's this core fusion that they have that's a big powerful element they have. It's really interesting. It's really cool, and I love seeing those flashbacks and how that relates to the present day of the show. And visually, the show is great. I think there's just so many great action sequences, well thought out action throughout it. I think I talked about the soundtrack for the show too, of just using that 50s and 60s music, like fucking Marty Robbins and the Dell Vikings and all this stuff, where it's like, oh, this fits so well within these scenes. And I think it's just they have a roadmap for where they want to go, which is very apparent. Some shows, it feels like you have a strong first and second season maybe, and then it kind of falls off. This one, it just feels like already they're like, we know what we want to tell. We know what we're doing. And they just have great parallels from how an episode opens to how it closes, and the arcs throughout just a singular episode, and then the arcs throughout the season as well. So, big fan of Fallout. I think it's one of the better shows of this decade. I'm really enjoying it. And like I said, I haven't played the games, but I am excited to see where it goes. And they leave it off in a spot where Macaulay Culkin is going to have a big role coming forward in season. He was in a couple episodes of this season, but just his group of people and where they're going and where kind of our main characters are at, I think is really cool. So, big fan of Fallout. Really love that show.
Was it Jonathan Nolan written?
Jonathan Knowles, he's an executive producer on it. Okay. And he always does really great work. I like a lot of his stuff. I think I shouted out Person of Interest before. That's a really cool show. So I just like the way that he is involved in stuff. The showrunners do a great job. So really like Fallout. The show that I am just continuing to love as I watch through is the Peaky fucking Blinders. Watch through season 2. This is probably the coolest show that I've ever watched, where I'm like, I have never, I love mafia, mob, crime-related stories. That's why I love The Sopranos, I love Breaking Bad, the crime stuff. I've never wanted to be a part of a group of characters more than the fucking Peaky Blinders. And one of my favorite characters in the show is Arthur, who is the brother of Tommy Shelby, played by Cillian Murphy. He is just... Yeah, he's just a fucking liability. It's every, 3 episodes, it's how is he going to kill himself, and people just have to deal with that. He is just drunk all the time. He starts snorting shit in this season, and then he tries to kind of commit suicide every once in a while, and people are like, hey, you can't fucking do that, man. We need you here. And he's like, oh, fuck. And then...
responsibility.
And then he gets in a bar fight, and is just absolutely... there's scenes where... This season is kind of focused on the Shelbys, who are based in Birmingham, England, and they kind of want to expand out to London. That's kind of the big thing in this season. And one of the things that they do, Cillian Murphy's Tommy Shelby, Paul Anderson is Arthur Shelby, and Joe Cole as John Shelby. They go to a bar in London trying to establish themselves, and they take off their hats that have razor blades in them and just start fucking whipping people with them, throwing people around, getting in bar fights, like, we're the Peaky fucking Blinders in London. It's like, dude, let's go. And then you get fucking Tom Hardy in this season. And his introduction and all of his scenes here are so fucking good. And there's a great scene where him and Cillian Murphy are talking. Tom Hardy's kind of trying to swindle him out of some money, or like the percentage of the deals that they're doing. He's like, Tom Hardy's like, I want fucking 100% of your fucking company. You can't understand him again in this show. But
it's like Jeff Bridges in Hell or High Water.
Yeah, right.
All subtitles.
And it's like, Tom Hardy's like, yeah, I want 100% of your company, whatever. And Cillian Murphy's like, yeah, by the way, when I walked in here, I planted a grenade, and I have a guy outside that's going to blow up this place if you don't fucking do it. And you find out that he didn't actually do that, but Tom Hardy trying to do the mental gymnastics of he's like, did you see him do this to one of his guys? He's like, well, yeah, he tied his shoe for a second, he could have done it then. And he's like, fuck. He's like, all right, 75%. Cillian Murphy's like 25. And they're just the back and forth of this scene where it's like, this bomb's gonna go off in 2 minutes if I don't tell my guy to fucking not do it. Incredible. I fucking love Tom Hardy in this show. Cillian Murphy continues to be so fucking great, and I just love the vibe of the show. There's the last episode takes place at a horse racetrack, and all the moving pieces here of this plan that they have. Annabelle Wallace comes back into the show, and her relationship with Cillian Murphy is great. It's just fantastic. I love this show so much. Josh O'Connor pops up in a little role just for a couple episodes.
I'm looking through different seasons of the show because it's a show that I need to watch and I know I'm gonna watch soon. But I'm getting increasingly more jealous of the fact that you're already 2 seasons deep into it. But Adrian Brody's in this. Tom Hardy, my favorite actor of all time, is in this. I love Cillian Murphy. It's just a stacked cast. Josh O'Connor's fantastic. So I'm it is just becoming. I talked about watching this with my wife, and I'm just gonna have to watch it quickly without her, and then act I didn't watch it at all and play dumb. But I am so, like I said, jealous of you that you're so far into this.
Also, the song "Do I Want to Know" by the Arctic Monkeys plays in the last episode, and it is just the perfect fucking cap. As every scene is somebody at a bar, smoking, drinking, doing something, but just the song starts playing. And they're like, Peaky Blinders on fucking top. Dude's on top of a bar pouring whiskey. He's like, the Lee boys, yeah! The fucking Johnson boys, yeah! As the song's blaring in the background, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
I can't think about this show and not think about our buddy Shay, who, it was Shay and Ethan that brought the show to us, and they're like, Peaky every time we saw them, that they would bring that up and have that dialect, that accent, and I'm just like, okay, I get it.
It's so cool.
I need to check it out. I've seen the first 2 episodes a while ago, and I need to just sit down and start watching. Which it's so palatable that there's only 36 episodes.
Yeah.
Each season is 6 episodes long. So okay, I can.
Every week is 6 episodes is very doable. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do 6 hours of content. I watch fucking 4 to 5 movies a week. I try to do that. So like I said, very jealous of you with this. I can't wait to see. Is it Tommy Alfin or Solomon?
Alfie Solomons is Tom Hardy.
Solomons is Tom Hardy. So I can't wait to watch this show. Mostly just because I can't wait to get to his introduction because I've seen clips of it already, and I'm like, fuck.
So cool.
Subtitles are gonna be on.
Oh yeah.
For that, but I'm jealous of you. I'm excited to watch it myself, but I'm happy that you're as far as you are, as fast as you are with it. Moving into new releases, it is Valentine's Day weekend coming up. So this Friday, February 13th, we will be getting Wuthering Heights, directed by Emerald Fennell. We already mentioned Promising Young Woman, weirdly enough, earlier today, and Saltburn, which I actually really like. This is the film starring Margot Robbie and Jake Elordi. It is the kind of, the upteenth adaptation of Wuthering Heights. I will say, the trailers have really worked for me. Emerald Fennell's kind of styling, it feels very much within the realm of the way Saltburn looked, and I'm getting really enticed by it. So I know I'm probably going to be seeing this movie this upcoming weekend with my wife. I'm, give or take, how hotly anticipated this movie is for me, but I'll be checking that one out, I'm sure. The one I am really excited about is Crime 101, directed by Bart Layton, coming out. He's the director of American Animals, which if you haven't seen that film, it is a very underrated crime caper based on a true story that uses real-life interview footage mixed with more theatrical reenactments with actors. It's such a interesting, cool crime movie. Check it out. This film, Crime 101, stars Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Halle Berry, Barry Keoghan, stacked cast, Monica Barbaro as well, Nick Nolte. I'm the captain of the ship. When we lived in apartment 303, we'd do like a bit about Nick Nolte in The Warrior when he's like drunk off his ass and Tom Hardy's trying to talk to him. Oh my god, who could have turned the ship around? And just drunk Nick Nolte is my favorite. It's up there with like cracked out Gary Busey talking about buttered sausage. It's just Nick Nolte in a crime movie, sick. He's going to be one of the more supporting players, but I can't wait. It looks like something kind of a la like Michael Mann's Heat and stuff like that, so I'm really enticed by that. That's the one I will definitely be checking out. The movie I'll probably likely skip, even if the animation does look to be somewhat interesting and pretty cool, is Goat, directed by Tyree Dillahay and Adam Rosett. This is their first feature directorial effort. They've done a lot of TV show, like episode work that they've done in the past. This is the one that like Steph Curry is attached to. It has a goat basketball player. I don't know. The trailers show me that the animation looks somewhat interesting and cool, makes me think of like Mutant Mayhem, but otherwise the movie itself, I'm like, I couldn't fucking give a shit. Like, this one's gonna be forgotten by me unless I hear fantastic, amazing things, which I don't see that with this movie. We also have Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Great title. Directed by Gore Verbinski, the director of classics like Rango and Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, and A Cure for Wellness, which is a little bit of an underrated little horror thriller from the late 20-teens. This film is starring Sam Rockwell, Zazie Beetz, Haley Lou Richardson, which like, oh my god, and Michael Pena. This is a man from the future kind of arriving and being like, I need help! Help me now! We need to go! Shit's gonna get bad. And the trailers look spastic and fun. This movie just looks really inventive and crazy, and I can't wait to see this as well. The marketing has done a lot to really get this movie high up on like my hotly anticipated movies coming out in recent times, so I can't wait to see that. We also, in limited release, have a little horror film called Cold Storage, which is directed by Johnny Campbell, who did the Dracula miniseries for Netflix, and he also has done episode work for Westworld. This is the film starring Joe Keery, Liam Neeson, Georgina Campbell, and it is... I'm going to read you the synopsis because I barely know anything about this movie as well. When a highly dangerous fungus escapes from a secret laboratory, a former bioterrorism agent is called back into action. You want to guess what actor plays that agent? Liam Neeson. Alongside two young employees, he must confront an invisible, out-of-control threat. Trailer I've seen once. It looked somewhat interesting, kind of a little bit throwaway, but it's a horror movie, so if I hear good things, I'll go see it. I heard okay things about Whistle, and I went and saw that and hated it, so... but a pretty big release week. Granted, Cold Storage is limited release. Don't know how much it's going to be showing near us. It's kind of a big week, though, with Wuthering Heights, Crime 101, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, and even Goat. It's just very diverse at the theaters this week, so I feel like there's nothing that you won't be able to go and check out. There's options. Go support theaters. I'm probably going to try and see 2 to 3 movies this week, so... And I'm sure Corey probably will, too.
Oh, yeah. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is the one that I wanted to see this week.
Okay.
Wuthering Heights, I feel like I don't know if I can go see that by myself, I guess. I mean, I could, but I don't know.
Maybe do an early showing, like an early matinee. Maybe you'll luck out and be like the only person there.
I won't, and then there'll be some weird people or a couple like right next to me or something. I'll be like,
romance movies or like animated movies. Going as like a lone white dude. Yeah. Because like my wife doesn't go with me to a lot of movies, so it's just like it feels weird. Like when I saw Zootopia 2, I was by families and I'm by myself, and I'm like, this looks like every parent near me is hugging their kids tighter right now. Like they look scared.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd, and it's just like, it's an awkward situation, but yeah, pretty big week, a lot to check out. I'm excited about it. I'm gonna try and hopefully, like I said, see 2 to 3 movies. Moving into physical media roundup, I bought Star Trek Nemesis. I bought and watched it this week. I bought the 4K Blu-ray. All of the Star Trek releases are fantastic. There's probably a lot of glare on this. I'm trying to find the best kind of option to hold this for you, but I really like the releases. They all have come with slips, except for First Contact, which kind of pissed me off because I really love that movie, and I was like, what the hell? But good quality, good releases, good special features on there. I also bought Captain Phillips. I bought a 4K Steelbook of that because getting into the Oscar awards buzz. Captain Phillips is like one of the films I remember in like middle school being really excited to go see that was up for a lot of Oscars. And talking about The Lost Bus with Paul Greengrass, it's one of my favorite Paul Greengrass movies, if not my favorite. Captain Phillips is, so I bought that. I also bought just yesterday All About Eve, the Criterion Blu-ray, because I've never seen it. And for a movie to have that number of nominations and wins, I'm like, shit, I should check it out. So it's a classic in Hollywood. I'm going to try and check it out in preparation again for the Oscars on March 15th or 16th, whatever day it is. But yeah, I'm just kind of checking things off my list. I actually want to highlight this. This is a bootleg copy. We don't have enough followers to where I think that this is an issue that I'm showing this. But I have a Wake Up Dead Man, you will not find this, slip from Etsy, and a Blu-ray printed release of this movie that I'm pretty thrilled about. I am a big physical collector. I love these movies. I get they're on Netflix, but I need to have them in my collection because that is the closest to them becoming my movies. I need them to be my movies. I don't want them on Netflix where everyone has access to them. Like, no, this is my movie. I love Wake Up Dead Man. It's my favorite of the Knives Out trilogy. I also have a bootlegged Glass Onion release. Like I said, we don't have enough followers to where that's an actual liability issue or problem. But yeah, I love that release. It's really cool. It plays well. I'm very thankful that people on Etsy just can pull through for me when Netflix is just a bunch of dipshits that don't release their shit on physical media.
I would love some Criterion releases of those Knives Out movies. I think that
trilogy, just like a one pack.
Yeah,
like, just do that.
I think down the road, I feel like something will happen.
I'm hoping
do something cool with that. But coming out this week, we have Nuremberg. That was kind of the bigger new release of the week, and then Lawrence of Arabia and Playtime on 4K. That's the Jacques Tati movie. As far as movie news goes this week, a few trailers. The Devil Wears Prada 2, we had a teaser before. This is kind of a full trailer, along with Scream 7, kind of got a more full trailer. We see some more characters in there. The new Boots Riley movie, I Love Boosters, had a trailer. And then, again, Michael, we had a trailer as well, but got a more kind of full trailer for that. And then a little teaser for Stranger Things Tales from 85, the little animated show that they're doing that takes place between seasons 2 and 3, I believe it is. And it'll be out in April. Yeah, not too much as far as reaction to this stuff this week. No. We'll see what happens with Super Bowl trailers tonight. Doesn't sound like the MCU is going to be really present. Spider-Man and Doomsday.
Surprising. I feel like that was rumored for so long, and then it was like up until this past week where they're like, no, we're not going to be there. It's like, damn it! Like, come on! These are the ones I want!
Yeah. So, Spider-Man is the one where I'm like, damn, that comes out in the summer. Like, I feel
this makes more sense than like a Doomsday thing. Yeah. But I really enjoyed the I Love Boosters trailer. I like Keke Palmer. I love Boots Riley. And his film, Sorry to Bother You, is one of my favorite films of the last, 20 years. That's in my top 100. I love that movie. And I'm really... He just has such a fresh, kind of inventive way to make a movie and tell a story. I can't wait to see that. Michael, didn't watch the trailer. I don't give a shit about this movie. I'll see it opening week. I don't give a fuck. It's a biopic. I don't care. I'll see it. Cool. I'll be a part of the conversation. I'm not excited about it. And then Stranger Things. Great. There's more of it.
Cool. Maybe people are still holding on to the conformity game.
No, I've moved past the excitement.
People are...
You can't reason this into something real.
No, it's not that I believe it, but it's just interesting. Every once in a while I get a little thing on TikTok or Instagram where people are like, during the Super Bowl there's going to be something Stranger Things related that they're doing another episode or another season or something. I'm like...
Probably from Tales from 85.
Probably something there.
Their show that they're actually making.
But if it is, I wanted to shout it out here first that we mentioned it before the Super Bowl.
So you can be right and I can be an asshole.
Yeah, we'll see. In a few hours, we'll figure it out. And as far as some award season stuff, we're kind of leading up to the Oscars here. We had the Directors Guild winners come out, and much expected, Paul Thomas Anderson won for One Battle After Another. The first-time feature film winner was Charlie Pollinger for The Plague, and then documentary went to the director of 2,000 Meters to Andrivka. Did not get nominated for an Oscar. That was kind of one of the big ones that got left out.
Yeah, that was one of the ones when I was looking at preparation of those nominations coming out. That was always in the conversation. Well, surely this one will get there, so that's kind of surprising, but cool that they were able to get recognition here at the VGA.
Yeah, and then on the TV side, quickly, The Pit won for drama series, Studio won for comedy series for the One-er episode, which is a fantastically directed.
Episode 2? My Apple TV is about to expire, so I need to capitalize on it.
Yeah, I forget which. Maybe in the early episodes, I think it is, but a fantastically directed episode of television. And then for limited anthology series, we had Dying for Sex. And then the Grammy winners. We don't talk about music a ton on here, really, but just wanted to mention some of the movie-based things, aside from Kendrick Lamar winning 5, I think, fucking Grammys. So someone go hand him a Grammy right now.
Yes.
I think he's the most awarded rapper at
Yep.
the Grammys now, past Jay-Z.
Yep.
Fucking awesome. GNX, TV Off, Luther, and then he got something for Chains with the Malice and Pusha T, so that's fucking sick. But as far as the movie stuff goes, best pop duo / group performance went to Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo for Defying Gravity. Best rock song went to As Alive As You Need Me To Be from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Very well deserved.
Awesome
Love that
song.
song. Best country solo performance went to Bad As I Used To Be. Chris Stapleton sang it. It was part of the F1 soundtrack. And then best score for a movie was Sinners. Very deserving. Probably an Oscar winner in a few weeks here. Best song for visual media, Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters. Again, probably an Oscar winner
surprising,
pretty soon
yeah.
here. And then the big one, at least for me, was Best Music Film went to Music by John Williams, which was kind of a documentary look at the history of John Williams. I really want to watch it, actually. But the most notable thing here is that Steven Spielberg got an EGOT for this. He was a producer on this, so like he got a Grammy, but it's like he didn't do like music, but he like part of a music thing.
This is the way Spielberg would get the
Exactly.
though, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It
It's
makes
like
sense.
there's a lot of Grammy categories, so like I get it. But it's fucking awesome that Spielberg got a EGOT. He's my favorite director of all time, one of my favorite creatives ever, and just so happy to see him get this. He's done so much great work, and very cool that he completed that. And then a few other bits of movie news here. This is actually good timing. I just did a whole rewatch or a watch through of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, and A24 just won the rights for the franchise. It's bounced around a lot over the years, but
It's similar to like the Friday the 13th shit, where it's just like, can someone just like consistently have this?
right, I think it's in decent hands with A24. They talked about wanting to do another movie, and then they've talked about doing a series with J.T. Molnar, who was a writer on The Long Walk, directed Strange Darling from a couple years ago, which is really good.
Love that movie.
So he's going to be working on the series, and we'll see the developments that come about with that franchise. Another big franchise is Pirates of the Caribbean. There have been talks for a lot of years of a sixth movie with Margot Robbie being in the fold, playing kind of a new female lead. People have talked about Johnny Depp maybe coming back. Jerry Bruckheimer, he's been a producer on these for a while. Looks like he'll be a part of this in some capacity. I love the original 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Like, I watched those so much as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie, Curse of the Black Pearl, like if I don't have a top 100 list like you mentioned, that would probably be on there. That'd be very high up on my list where I'm like, there's no movie that like makes me as happy, or like it's one of the few movies that makes me as happy where I'm like, fuck, this is awesome.
There are a few movies like that are like action adventure, swashbuckling, early 2000s films like that, The Mummy, like stuff of that kind of cloth that I'm like, oh my god, I love it. It's so rewatchable. It's a classic. And then hot take, Dead Man Tell No Tale, or not Dead Man Tells, Dead Man's Chest, the second one. I think that's my favorite Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Yeah,
that
that's
movie
fair.
is fucking nutty. I remember I've never been as depressed by a movie than seeing Johnny Depp go into the Kraken. I was like, how do I live now? He's dead. And then World's End kind of fixes some of that, kind of, or develops the story a little bit past that. And that trilogy is, while the first one is probably the best made movie, that trilogy is so much fun, and it gets nutty.
It's great. I like At World's End a lot. It gets weird. I know a lot of people don't care for it, but I really like it.
I lost my shit in the theater when I was 7 years old. I saw that in Spider-Man 3 in the theater
Ooh,
in
nice.
2007. Of course I'm fucking loving that.
Yeah.
Them going around like the fucking...
The Maelstrom
Yep.
storm. Oh,
So
I think that there's some, like the middle act maybe has some weird stuff. Jack Sparrow and the Kraken and the whatever. It's like, in Davy Jones' locker. I'm like, whatever. But I like it. 4 and 5. 4 was like very hyped up for me. Like that was on Stranger Tides, where like I saw that in theater. That was the first one I saw in theaters. So like I just had like a bunch of Legos. I had the video game. I was like, oh, I'm fucking pumped. So like nostalgic for that one. 5 is okay, but I don't know if we need a 6 one.
I feel like it's too little too late at this point. The writer of 1917 coming on board, that excites me a little bit, but also I'm like, again, just do something else. You don't need to title it Pirates of the Caribbean 6. Like, it's kind of up in the air whether or not Johnny Depp is going to come back, or Sparrow, or what characters are really going to be involved. Once we have that nailed down, then you'll kind of be able to reason to me why this needed to be a continuation of a franchise as opposed to something wholly original. But yeah, the nostalgia of those first 3, it's like, part of me kind of would be like fine with it, but mostly I'm just like, just do something different.
I'm down for like, I'm surprised there haven't been more pirate themed movies.
Stuff, yeah.
It's been only really Pirates of the Caribbean.
Like Rennie Harlan's Cutthroat Island.
He always comes up in some.
Yeah.
But like Margot Robbie being the lead of a pirate-centered movie, whether it's in this franchise or not, like that could be fun.
Yeah.
I like that. Speaking of Disney, this is one of the projects that Josh D'Amaro is kind of introducing, I suppose, as the new CEO of Walt Disney. This is the second time Bob Iger's left as CEO.
He came back to right the ship a little bit.
He left, Bob Chapek took over, and then Iger came back again, and now Josh D'Amaro's taken over. D'Amaro was he was part of the Parks division, and he's been in the company for a while. So we'll see if Bob Iger needs to come back a third time, or a third time, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see. But if they get this Pirates of the Caribbean thing, if they really writing like the Star Wars, Marvel, all that kind of stuff, that's a big task to kind of rein that in and do the right amount and not overflood the market and oversaturate it. So we'll see how he does.
Handle your franchises, handle your animated stuff, maybe just knock out the live action remake bullshit.
Bring Disney magic back.
Yeah,
the original Disney movies.
Make it special. Make it something that you need to go see, and it's not Zootopia, which like I like Zootopia too, but it's not like a sequel to an animated film. Like give me something original. Give me another Moana. Moana was fantastic when that came out, and it still is one of my favorite animated movies to this day. So
do more live action Disney movie like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Tomorrowland. I watched that movie recently. I didn't even talk about this. I completely spaced on it. After Caravan of Garbage did their Tomorrowland episode, I ended up watching that movie. It's not great, but I'm excited that movie exists. Still not great. I'm trying to like make it a reason to recommend this movie. George Clooney's in it. I don't know, but just give me more original stuff. Bring back Rocketeer. Like just do
Freaky
something.
Friday, like things like that, where it's just like a family crowd pleasing thing, where it's just a cool original movie.
Give me a Minutemen 2,
Ooh,
which was a Disney original. That was my
Minutemen.
favorite Disney original. They have Camp Rock 3 coming out. Make Minutemen 2.
Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior.
Was there already a sequel? I don't fucking know. Make another one. Brenda Song needs the work. Anyways, thanks for joining us for another episode of Slate Night. This is episode 67, which I know now we've started to really incorporate the titles of the episodes on YouTube, just so you can kind of keep track. But this is 67, also Super Bowl Sunday. Next Sunday, you'll either get to see a really excited and happy Corey or a really depressed Corey. Time will remain the indicator of that. So I'm really excited to see how this night plays out. We got the Olympics. It's a great day in sports. We got the Super Bowl. It is also the indicator that we will have 7 months of no football, which is also depressing regardless of the outcome today. Anyways, we'll talk about movies again next week, and then maybe upsetting football information about the Vikings clearing house or something. I don't know. But be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for our more in-depth movie reviews and movie news, which I've been slacking on. I haven't seen a movie in a while that's really made me want to write a review on. So who knows? Maybe Wuthering Heights will do that for me. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on anywhere you get your podcast. In the world of film, it's not just about what's on screen. It's also about who's next to you in the theater.
I'm calling it now. I just wanted to shout this out before. I'm going to say it before. If you've made it an hour and 37 minutes into this thing and you're still listening, Drake made a Keyshawn Boutte game-winning touchdown tonight.
I think Pats lose to the Seahawks 28-4 because they decided to run on the 1 yard line.
28-4?
28-24.
Two safeties?
Could you imagine? Stupid shit happens in the Super Bowl. Remember when Peyton Manning, the first snap of the game, went clear over his head? He was like, okay!
That's going to happen in Darnold.
I do need like some stupid Super Bowl plays, but I want a good game overall. Just give me some like quintessential, like, memeable moments of a Super Bowl.
I just wanted to shout out Keyshawn Boutte, game-winning touchdown. We'll revisit that this week, and then you'll be like, wow, you're very smart.
They put up 6 points. That's great.
So, go Pats. We only need Warriors come out to play.
I don't like that he's in charge of the edit of this, because otherwise this part would not be in there.
Well, once the Chargers get in the Super Bowl, you can edit the video.
That is true. And I'll be really excited because I was giving him shit about the fact that he has the Super Bowl champion.
This is the Patriots and Seahawks one. This is the Patriots and Falcons, the 28-3 game.
And this is 80 for Brady about the 28-3 game.
Yes. I dropped it. Damn it. But I do need the Patriots and Rams one from the second Patriots Rams one. So can't wait to see maybe Keyshawn Boutte, Drake May, maybe Hunter Henry on there, get a little touchdown. So
I do like Hunter Henry.
Yeah. Chargers legend. Yeah. But anyways, go Pats, go. Can't fucking wait. It's going to be a great day. What's the fucking closure for this thing? Oh, yeah, from Mason Night Slate Night. That's a wrap.